Hi guys, welcome to Windsome Cottage Garden. My name is Hannah and I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. We are in the cottage garden once more and we have a couple random projects to finish up before we go back to the city, which always seems to be the case Sundays at the cottage. Maybe I should just label this a series, Sundays at the Cottage, because I end up throwing a couple random things together and hopefully hoping that they all work out. Today what we're throwing together is planting things in the ground. We purchased off of Etsy some Virginia Bluebell rootlets. It is potentially the wrong time of year to do this, but they sent them to us, so we're going to get them in the ground, and hopefully next year we will have some additional Virginia Bluebells. You might remember that last year we planted a ton of English bluebells. I had actually probably 4 or 5 years ago bought my dad for his birthday or Christmas or something like that some English bluebells, which are a bulb type of bluebell. My dad is English, if you didn't know, and he is very fond of the English bluebell. They are something that could be grown here, so I bought some. We weren't ready to put them out at the time that the bulbs came, so they actually lived in my yard for, I don't know, 3 years, and went from like 100 bulbs to a couple thousand bulbs. And last year we transplanted them. They came up really well. Unfortunately, we learned a couple of things. One, the areas we planted them are probably a little too well watered because the bluebells just flopped. They have like a grassy texture, and they just were like always flat as a pancake. There's actually some right behind me. Let me show you real quick. Ignore the seed that's dropping from the tree. All this grassy stuff that's just, again, flat as a pancake, those are bluebells. Yeah, so this is what they looked like everywhere, which is not attractive, shall we say. The other thing that happened is they did not bloom. Now, maybe they just needed a little more time. I'm guessing that they should have bloomed here early June. Of the thousands of bulbs we planted, we maybe got 5 bloom stalks, and they were pretty pathetic, and similarly to their leaves, they were not upright, they were flat. So we haven't pulled them out, we've left them. The other thing that's worth noting is they're supposed to be highly deer resistant. I was hoping that meant that they were like daffodils, which deer don't touch. The deer definitely ate these. They ate them in multiple areas. So we've decided to try the Virginia Bluebell out. They are herbaceous in that they will come up, flower, and then they kind of, like daffodils, fade away. So I was watching a video of the impatient gardener who is in a very similar position to us, but in Wisconsin on the other side of Lake Michigan. And she had Virginia bluebells everywhere that had just naturally popped into her yard, and the deer didn't touch them. And I feel like she faces a similar deer pressure to us. So we have a couple of Virginia bluebells in a couple areas. We decided to try and expand them with rootlets. We have 100 that we bought off of Etsy. And so I'm going to stick them in a couple of places. I do not expect them to do anything this year. And unfortunately, we probably won't know if they did take until next year. So it will be planting in faith, as gardening so often is. So that is the first thing we're going to do today because that's our highest priority. I also have some seedlings we want to get in the ground, and we had a slight incident with one of our containers on the deck. It was under a bird feeder, and unfortunately bird seed fell into it, and as probably squirrels were attempting to eat the bird seed, they completely pulled out geraniums and a ton of other things, destroying it. So we bought 2 geraniums to replace them. The other plants were able to bounce, so I'm going to get that looking better, and we did reposition it. It's kind of a hodgepodgey day that we normally have on Sunday, and I thought I'd bring you guys along. Molly is helping me with this task. And I briefly wanted to pop in and explain something about bluebell rootlets and why I'm not sure if this will work, but we decided to try anyway. Virginia bluebells, unlike English bluebells, spread by root or rhizome. When you purchase them, this is kind of what they look like. It's a chunk of root. I do not know how big the chunk of root needs to be for a bluebell to disperse. For some plants, and I'm not sure if this is bluebells, let me add that, you could have a centimeter and it would sprout a plant. This, we bought 100 rootlets, and most of them are about this size. Some are a little smaller, like half. And then there were a couple of really small chunks that we actually planted all in this grass area in the mulch. So we knew where the really small ones were, and we could see how well they worked. So what the planting instructions we found online, the Etsy seller didn't really give a ton of instructions, but you can find stuff online. And we did this in a previous house my parents did. You want to bury this 1 to 3 inches deep. They are shade to, like full shade to part shade. There's a couple areas we planted that might get a teeny bit too much sun, but in general we're putting them in woodland areas because they are a woodland plant. And so what we did is used our auger and only planted 1 rootlet per hole, which might have been a bit of overkill, but some of them are quite sizable, as you can see, and our 7-inch auger, this is about the size they needed. I struggled in some places to dig the holes because we are incorporating them just into our grass area. They will come up, bloom, be beautiful, and by the time we're ready to get rid of them, they're going to be dying back. So that is what we're doing. Molly's doing stuff. We are sticking a little Biotone starter fertilizer in there. The reason I'm not certain about these is typically you plant these in the very early spring as soon as the ground can be worked. So that's when you're supposed to be planting them. Once we saw how abysmally bad the English bluebells did this year, and we have one other spot of Virginia bluebells, my mom said, I really want that blue. Let's see if we can get Virginia. And they sold them to us. So it could be that these just bits of bark will just sit in the soil and then next year they'll spring to life. That's what we're thinking is going to happen. I don't expect these to put any plants up this year, just to live life and hopefully spring into life in the future. Molly did come in here and put some of the bits in amongst this grass because this does get cut back in the spring. So there's mostly on the edges. You can kind of see where it's been disturbed. We did 5-ish here, and then it curves around and we've got about 7 here. So that'll be good. So the bulk of them actually start here. And the other thing about the planting instructions is you want to plant them 12 to 18 inches apart, and they do spread. So we went more 18 to 24, thinking hopefully in 5-10 years, this will be a nice field of blue. So they kind of start, that's the first one right here. And then it'll come up here, go around, come in front of this tree, go like a little back there, around here, a little back there, around here. They come to a point back there and then swoop over here. We do have a French drain dry riverbed, and then we did 5 right there. We planted right about 80, a little less than 80 in that big swoop up there. So hopefully it does well and ends up being quite the show. But Molly is just finishing up these, so we're going to plant some this bed that we recently worked on, and then we're going to go stick some in another bed in the back. We ended up with 3 bluebells over here and 6 over here. I was a little off in my math on how many we had left. So let me quickly show you those and the 2 butterfly bushes I remembered I needed to get planted that we stuck in the ground as well. We ended up just doing a lazy drift. We did 1 there, one here, one here, one here, and one here, though I'm not entirely sure if I had enough for that one, so we'll see. And then Molly stuck 3, like one here-ish, one there-ish, and one there-ish. Everything dies back completely in this bed, and the ferns do take a little while to come up, so we thought that might be pretty to stick in here. I don't know if they may overlap a little, but either way, it'll be pretty. And they said they're full shade. We're gonna test that theory. I'm gonna quick tidy up out here, then I'm gonna go plant those 2 geranium. I think it's gonna do it for this video. As always, Sundays at the cottage go way too quickly, and those bluebell rootlets took a little bit longer than I anticipated. But I hope you enjoyed coming around with me, getting a couple things checked off the to-do list, and there'll always be more to do next time we are here. I really appreciate you joining me today. If you like this video, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.